Okay, see you soon, Barry.
5th of December, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
Who Gam Hakotin Hu Tzorich B'Kol Gavne Lahadlik B'Fnei Atzmo. Therefore, then the child would also have to light for himself, just like everybody else lights. V'Chachi Pasach HaRamah. This is what the Ramah paskins. Lael above B'Sif Siman Tufrej Ayin Aleph. Aval Das what's Shag?
I think the Shag is the Shag.
Shitas Giborin, Bahamairi.
Shilti
Giborin, right? Okay, Bahamiri, both Dafil Ladidan, even according to us, we're also paskin for Ashkenazim. Ain't Sarach Lahanech Hakatan Lahadlik Bifnei Atzro Im Lo Sheyesh Lo Bias Bifnei Atzro. That you don't teach the child to light for himself if he does not have a house for himself.
Right.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it says that a katan does not have to light. According to the Shilta Gebarin and the Ma'iri, the child still doesn't have to light unless he lives by himself.
Right, because even according to us, it's only a din of Mahadrin. It's not a special din b'fnei atzmo. Apparently, right? Okay, very good. So that, but apparently the minhag is not that way. I think we're pretty liberal with letting the kids light the menorahs, right?
Oh, definitely. Burn the house down. Burn the house down on the 8th night.
I have a question. Historically, wasn't it difficult for families to have so much oil? I mean, today you go in the supermarket, you can buy oil by the barrel. But right. but in those days, it would seem very difficult to have so much oil around, because they did have big families in those days.
Yeah, look, I didn't, I wasn't around, but I imagine it wasn't so easy to get commodities. Commodities were hard to come by, and yeah, so it could be that it wasn't such a widespread practice that everybody in the house would light.
Right, it's a practical thing.
Yeah. So,
I mean, what would we do in Eretz Israel if, Chas v'shalom, there was a shortage of oil? There wasn't any oil around. For a while there was no butter around. They were selling all the butter to China or something. I don't know what it was. You couldn't get butter in the supermarkets, or at least in my neighborhood, in the Makolit. Right. So you didn't have butter. That was it. There was no butter. So what? So if there was no oil, so yeah, you have to have an eitzah.
Sure. I mean, look again. Definitely, obviously, those families that had the means and they did it. But it could be that you see the Mr. Berura, he's poskening that. The children, if they're not bar mitzvah, there's no mitzvah of chinuch in Mahadrin. That seems to what's be coming out here. You don't have to mechanic a child in something which is Mahadrin, right? If he has his mitzvah, because the mitzvah is, what's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is that the father light, right?
Right.
So there's no mitzvah to teach a child to light because he's not a father yet, right?
Right.
So he's got a good long time between time he's bar mitzvah and the time that he'll have his own family. He's got a few years there to learn those halachas on his own if necessary.
There was also a time, around that same time that they're referring to, that families, not necessarily when you got married, you didn't necessarily have your own house.
Of course not.
You lived with your family, you lived with your father-in-law or your father, whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And so then there was also shalit, who's lighting.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, they're part of the family. They're part of the father-in-law's house, or they're part of his father's house. Sure, exactly, very right, very correct, Barry. Yeah, I mean, we have it, we're very, very fortunate, Baruch Hashem. We have quite a lot, quite a lot. And,
I
so
know when I
yeah.
grew up, we had my bubby and Zadie, it was their house, and we lived there, and one of the uncles lived there, and you know, and my uncle came home from the war, and he lived there. You know, I mean, it was you know, it was different today. Everybody has immediately you graduate high school, you have get your apartment, you know, and a car. You know, it wasn't so push it.
Get a
During the
six-bedroom house, you know, and like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
So yeah, but an economic, true enough. Okay, let's proceed to the next halacha. Siv Gimel.
Okay, yesh omrim ch'afal pi shemadlikin alav betoch beso, that we light inside the house. Imhu b'makom she'ein bo Yisrael madlik bekrochos. If you live in an area where there are no Jews, you light in the village. You light outside.
Bibrachos with the you make with
Bibrachos. You light. You still say the bracha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So even though nobody else is going to see it, but you still light with the bracha.
Correct.
Haga ki chayev lirot haneros. You have to see the neros, and that's according to the Mordechai. V'chein noagim velfim hu etzel yehidim. Even if he's among Jews, Berura haneros imrotz lahachmir al atzmo lahadlik bifnei atzmo. And if he's living among Jews and he's lighting with them, he can be machmir on himself and also light by himself. Madlik muvarach, muvarach aleim, he lights the candles and says the bracha on them. The kain noagim, and that is where we're noig, and that is Yitrumas Deshen. Maharil the Chuvas Hamaril Sima Sif Kuf Mem Hey.
Right.
Kuf Mem Chet. Kuf Mem Chet.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Mishna Berura.
Okay. Ki chayev Lord, you're chayev to see. This soter l'simen tafresh ayin vav. That's the end of simen tafresh ayin vav. Sif gimel.
This is so. This contradicts. This contradicts the previously.
Okay. The sover sham the shemadlikin bebeto ein tzorach levarek. That when you light in your house, you don't have to say the brachas. I'll agree on seeing the lights. The din dekan who mean a Mordechai, and the din there is from the Mordechai v'sham stam hamachaber kashari poskim, and the mechaber is like the other poskim sheholkin alav who argue with him. L'chein ledino ein lenoeg kan lahadlik bebracha. And therefore the din is that we're not knowing to light with the bracha. Eliam Cain, Shiomer She'eno Roam, She'eno Rosa Latseis Bahadlachas Ishto.
Whoa. Right. I mean, really, because the house, he may not be in the house right now, but his wife is in the house, so she can light, and actually he'll be fulfilling his mitzvah with the lighting of the wife in his own house. But in this case, he doesn't want to do that. He could, but he doesn't want to do that.
So I'm not quite sure what Mishna Berura is saying here.
Okay. So it says here, if so, the custom is to light, is not to light with the bracha. Elohim Cain, unless he already said clearly to his wife and that he doesn't want to be Yotzi with her lighting in the house, meaning he's going on a business trip. He's going to be away for Hanukkah. He's going to be in Hong Kong. He's got himself a dira there in Hong Kong, and his wife is going to be lighting in the house there in Lakewood, right? So he told her, he said, don't have in mind to light for me when you're lighting, right? I'm going to light where I am in Hong Kong, but if he just left it without anything said, or if he said to her, you should light, and with your lighting in the house here in Lakewood, I'll be Yotzi. I'll be fulfilling my mitzvah of Hanukkah with my lighting in the house in Lakewood. Not even
But is that even going to be effective? Because at the time she's lighting, he's not mechuyev to light. It's not nighttime.
Right. That's a whole other question. That you obviously the Mishnah Berurah didn't have these questions as we do this manazeh. But so let's say they were in the basic same time. He was in Warsaw and she was in Vilna. So nighttime would be basically the same. So,
Right.
So
Because people didn't travel that far away.
Of course not. But that you have to look at the poskim bisman hazeh if it's possible to do such a thing like that if it's different time zones. Because when the Zman Hadlaka is now here, it's not the Zman Hadlaka in America, and it probably won't be. Meaning the Zman Hadlaka here, it starts from 5 o'clock in the evening, say all the way through to say 5 o'clock in the morning. So 5 o'clock in the morning, evening here is 11 o'clock in the. Is it 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and there may be a short overlap, maybe before dawn by us over here, but in general, it's not going to overlap too well.
Okay.
That's a question for the modern postman to decide whether or not does it work when you're in different time zones at all.
Okay.
Probably won't. You have a similar question when it comes time for the sale of chametz. When did the sale of chametz take place? If you're here in Eretz Israel, or a person's in area and the chametz is in Chutz La'aretz, and when does the sale become finished? When is the sale over? Right.
Well, I know back that our Rav in New Jersey does two sales. He does a sale for the people who have chametz in Israel, and a separate for the chametz that's in Israel, and a separate sale for the chametz that's in the United States.
Right, exactly. Because the overlap of the time zones makes it very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Another minute or so. Let's see. We'll get a little further into this, Mr. We won't finish it though.
Okay, so Tesvav im rotzel hachmer, if he wants to be machmer on himself, rotzelomer, he wants want to say af medina potel hadlik imadlik alav bebeto, that by din he is potter from lighting if he's lit in his house. Mikol makom im rotzel hachmer al atzmo, if he wants to be strict upon himself, lahadlik ba'atzmo, and light for himself. Rashai, he has permission to do that. Muvachi Chavin Makshavto, that he has to have the intention Kodim Shasad Laka before he starts the light. She'ena Rotza, let's say Special Ishta, that he's not going to be Yotze with the lighting of his wife. Umamela Leis Khan Mishum Bracha Levatala, and then it will clearly not be a Bracha Levatala. She'ena Rotza, let's say Madlichin Chal Chiyav Hadlakas Alav.
Right. That's understood.
Well, I'm missing. I'm not quite sure about the last phrase.
It says Shana Russell. It says this is Bilvad. She has to have a chavein Makshavit Kodem Shas Hadlaka before the time of Hadlaka. Shana Russell. It says Mishalisto. That is not going to be Yotze with his wife. The Mela Leis Khan Mishum Brachol Levatol. In that case, when he's not going to be Yotze with his wife, then there's no question of a Brach of a Latola. Since he doesn't want to be Yotze with his wife's lighting, so then the Chiyuv falls upon him.
Oh, okay. As we explained. Okay.
Good. Okay,
Very good.
We'll continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
All right.
Everyone have a good afternoon, Mitzvah Shem, and hope to see you all tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
All right. Have a good day.
Very good. Good job. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Eliezer Tzvi. You're welcome.